What's up, everybody? It's Keefe from Ghost Code Magazine, ghostcodemag.com, and I'm here in Brooklyn, New York with Hideous Divinity. How's it going?
Hey there, stoked to be here again.
Welcome back to Brooklyn. Welcome back to America. Awesome to have you.
Thank you so much. Second time in 1 year. I feel truly grateful and blessed. Last time in Brooklyn was a blast. We played at Knitting Factory, was
Yep.
that the venue?
Yeah.
And today we are in given the headliners, a very special venue.
Yes, the Warsaw. We had jokes about that on the bus. And we are super stoked. We're here at the Warsaw in Brooklyn, New York tonight for the big tour with Vader, Abysmal Dawn, you guys, and Vitriol. What a terrific, fantastic death metal bill.
Oh, for real. We're super happy to come back to the States 2 times in 1 year actually. And when we heard about the lineup, I mean, I only have, only have good words, not simply good words, but think about the band opening for us, which I think is it was the greatest challenge of my live career to play after Vitriol. I love this band. These guys are perhaps the best thing that happened to death metal in the last 10 years, and they're great guys. Not to mention Abysmal Dawn, one of the tightest bands I've ever seen live. Super nice people. We're really lucky to share this tour with them. And then what else can we say about Vader that hasn't been said? I'm just going to say something really personal. It was me, 15 years old, going to high school and listening to De Profundis on music cassette. And 25 years later, I'm here with them. Life is generous sometimes. I'm feeling very grateful.
Amazing, and congratulations in general. You guys are also super fantastic and great that you're on this tour. Your recent and new album, Simulacrum, is out now on Century Media Records. I'm a big fan. I know that Italy is very well known for a lot of different genres of metal, doom, and all kinds of extreme metal, but it really seems like the heyday of technical death metal right now coming from the country. And you guys are part of it, which I'm super happy about.
Well, thank you for that. It's funny, I still cannot think about my band as a technical death metal band because to me the definition belongs to bands like, Archspire, Beyond Creation, and I'm just saying, these guys are so good, they're terrific. I wish I'd be a musician, being able to play, their songs, but when it comes to me, I always think technicality is we're simply using tools, and I always try to find in the music that I listen to, the music that I try to incorporate in what I write, something that goes beyond the use of technical skills. And I have to say that I've been extremely lucky in the last years, because so many things happen in extreme music that are to me so relevant and so unexpected. I mean, there's this what I call new wave of death black metal. There are bands that you could never relate immediately to what we do, but if I could only be able to express the influence that bands like Bolzer, Deathspell Omega, even Megwa from Poland, by the way, of all the places. We've always been kind of a mirror of the music that was influencing us in that particular moment. The influences that Hideous Divinity had when we made our first record, The Race and Rising, are definitely different from the influences that we are, we're feeling, the things that resonate in us right now.
Amazing. That's already my favorite answer of 2020. Everybody's going to have a hard time to follow that. And we just interviewed Peter from Vader, who gave many great answers. So that was amazing. Thank you. It is a kind of an abundant time right now for a lot of great bands, a lot of young bands. Your band has actually been around for quite a while, but are now, I think, really capturing a lot of hearts and minds, as they say. And I think the first tour really helped open people's eyes. The album was brand new at the time, and it was, like a shot through the scene, like everybody was like, whoa, check this band out. And now you're back on this great bill. So good, what a good time for you guys.
Oh, like I said, I feel extremely grateful. Also because the bureaucracy to get to the US the proper way, it's not exactly a picnic. So the fact that we managed to squeeze 2 amazing tours, because let's not forget about the past one, in one single year, in 12 months, it's really it was so lucky. The first tour was amazing because of the band. I mean, we toured with Aborted, Cryptopsy, and Benighted. Excuse me, but it also opened our eyes to what truly the American market was. And I'm telling you, it was like rediscovering the Americas, and it was so good that many people didn't know us, but also many fans that we met were actually waiting for us, and we definitely took some time before doing our first tour to the US. But I think everything was done properly with the proper bands. I think we did it when it was just the time, and then of course we hopefully we're on a rampage. I mean, we are our first album came out, which is our fourth. The first album with Century Media came out, and of course when you're part of such a prestigious roster, you're supposed to do your best to push yourself to promote the album in the best possible way. And of course, a label like Century Media making such a huge investment in you, well, they are kind of expecting that because it's love for the music, which they have, and I was amazed by their passion, and it's also business because, duh.
Indeed. Yeah, you could not be better positioned. Century Media's vast history, especially for extreme metal, is well known, and they have been doing an excellent job with you guys, such as putting us together. And so for this interview, so very happy about that and appreciative. Let's talk for a second about, again, I know I threw out that term at the very beginning of the interview, technical death metal, but when you listen to all the albums, when you listen to Simulacrum, there are moments, movements, variety of feelings and styles. There's like a slow doom bridge. There's some very fast stuff. There's some very not technical, but like almost old school death metal vibes, like almost like Incantation or Obituary, like very true school things. So obviously, like all of us, you listen to what's out there. You make your own music. You are following your own footsteps, but what do you use for inspiration? What bands do you like and look up to that, as you mentioned, a bunch of great ones also, but are there any others that kind of factor into your writing?
Well, there'll always be a couple of bands that I will always listen to when I need some certain thing in my life. So luckily, Eight Eternal came back with not too long ago, which perhaps one of the best albums of their discography, which is something that came out only 1.5 years ago. And but the thing is that the releases within what I used to love into death metal genre that really impressed me, there are not so many, but I believe by far the one that to me marks another level is the new Cattle Decapitation album. Cattle Decapitation album, Death Atlas, I think it's something that really represents for me the maximum control of. It's like if you have a nuclear reactor, and you know exactly all the possible shades of intensity from 0 to 100. And not to mention that I love the production, I love Dave Otro, I love everything that's done in Denver, Colorado. And then of course, other bands that they're showing me that there is still room for progression in 2020. I mean, I've listened to bands like Bullzer, for example, or then there's this band that I simply couldn't believe. Their name is Blood Incantation. I think you're pretty familiar with them. Anybody who's not familiar, well, they should really fix this quickly, because they made this album and they managed to have what is called some sort of a reaction, everybody's favorite album. And the fact that they chose an instrumental song as first single, I mean, that really shows self-confidence and self-awareness. And I think the record is like, I didn't turn it down on my stair for like 2 weeks. I just couldn't believe it. Amazing band.
Nice. Those are two records that came out at the end of last year, but what an impact they both made. And a young band, and a relatively young band, and a veteran band, both coming together and doing amazing things. But again, I feel like you guys are also should be in that conversation. Definitely one of the best bands one of the best new bands, or newer to us. Maybe you've been around a long time, and I think people are just catching up to you, which is important and great. And again, it's important as much as we love our Vaders and we love our classic and legendary bands like Cattle Decapitation and Vader. We need new bands to come along all the time and really capture imaginations and keep it going. And keep it going. It's important. Let's see. What I also wanted to talk a little bit again, not just about the record, but just in general. Like I said, the scene in Europe. It seems like we're in a very fertile time with a lot of bands sort of popping up and old ones coming back. I'm glad you mentioned Hate Eternal. I actually hear like a lot of Hate Eternal guitar, like Eric Rutan. I hear like a lot of Eric Rutan in Hideous Divinity. So big ups to Eric. He's great. And are there any specific guitar players that you follow or admire and emulate?
Talking about Eric Rutan, I don't even call it Eternal, I call it Mother's Milk. Because, if you think about it, when he actually started riffing on that guitar, as a guitar player, well, I would definitely be more impressed by composers rather than today you can just type a couple of words on the search bar of YouTube, and you're gonna come out with kids that are like 7, 8 years old, and they are shredders beyond shredding. I used to be fascinated by that kind of approach when I was, of course, a young guitar player. But then I think something happened. With bands like Incantation, guitar players like Jock McEntee and such, they actually put me in front of a choice. Do you want to be that sort of a technical monster, or do you want to pay more attention to the song? I'm not saying that I went for the cool thing. I'm still so limited technically that I went for the easy road. But I always wanted, to understand how a song works. I pay attention to the work on song structure. I try to understand, okay, now I'm writing this riff, it looks kind of cool. Then I can I can arrange a blast beat drums for like 12 bars, but this happened already. This people already heard. I cannot expect people to like Hideous Divinity if every single album is the same song of the previous album per 12. We're not even that cool. People would not look at us as something cool just for the sake of it. So we have to run twice as fast. We have to hit twice as hard because we're not winning the game by presenting ourselves to the competition. We have to work harder, and I always felt that. I always felt that when I will start Hideous Divinity back from scratches, after the end of my adventure with Hour of Penance. I'd rather not enter too much into detail with that, but just saying that I had to start all over again, and it was not 1999 when you had a drummer that was able to play blast beats, and you were automatically one of the top bands of the death metal scene in Italy. In 2010, when Hideous Divinity finally had a physical lineup, something that I would have never expected happened in the 5 to 6 years before. So there was an Italian death metal scene. So the competition started to be tough in my own country. Oh boy, wasn't I prepared for that. So that's probably why the first record, The Basement Rising, sounds so... There is an urge to look good. In one way, we wanted to shock people. Hey, we're back! It's me! I used to play guitar in Hour of Penance. I'm back with something even cooler. Then, with the following albums, we went for something that I dare to define originality. But it took me some time. I'm a really slow writer, really slow. But here I am, still in second tour in the US.
Well, amazing, and again, we're super lucky to have you. I can't wait for the show tonight. Obviously, I released Simulacrum in the fall, did the tour with Aborted, now here with Vader. What else do you have planned for the rest of the year that you can talk about? Obviously nothing that hasn't been announced, but do you have some more stuff booked or festivals or things?
Well, there's something cooking for quite some time, and we're talking about Europe because after all, our last tour in Europe was almost 2 years ago with Origin and Rings of Saturn, so it's about time to come back to our old continent. So there's something that should be announced, something that will happen during springtime. Then, of course, we have summertime, which is European festival season. which is something rather cool because no matter how small, especially compared to the US, Europe is, the amount of summertime festivals is really significant, especially in a country like Germany, which is a very, very important market for us. And it looks like every single town, every single region, they've got their own metal summertime festival, and they're extremely proud of it. And sometimes it's so funny because I think the good thing about German metalheads is as long as it's metal, they don't care about the labels. So we just play the show in August, and we played together with Glory Hammer and Steel Panther. I mean, how funny was that? But somehow it matched, because when you have a crowd that is so reactive and they are having so much fun, you're playing with Glory Hammer, who cares? It's all metal.
Right. That's awesome. Yeah, we're America is slowly catching up to Europe. Probably never be as great as Europe with the festivals, but we're slowly catching up with some nice festivals here, a little more European style, we'll say. And I personally also agree. I like the variety. I think as much as I love death metal, I think if you had to see, like I love Maryland Death Fest, and you guys would be wonderful to go play Maryland Death Fest someday. If those guys are listening, they're probably not. But if they were, I would tell them to book you, because you guys would be great there. But even Maryland Death Fest doesn't have just death metal. They have all kinds of other things, thrash and grindcore and black metal and everything. So it's a big old world out there of metal, and I'm glad you guys are a part of it. Super excited for you here at the Warsaw tonight, on tour with Vader now. The record, again, is Simulacrum, Hideous Divinity. I'm Keefe from Ghost Cult. We are out.